I'm Garnet, this is Eggs. Got the horns on again. It's not Halloween right now, not while I'm recording, at least maybe it's Halloween when you're watching. I thought the horns are fitting for this type of video. I'm basically torturing you. Time for part 2 of my childhood trauma video, because these are the ones that I decided to sort out of the first one because they weren't exactly scary to me as much as they were like sad or they made me like angry. I should warn you that you may still personally find some of these things to be more scary, and there may still be some unsettling imagery. This is gonna be a lot shorter than the other one, 25 instead of 50, literally half, and also not as long as of an intro. And I sorted it the same way, it's organized the same way, so it's not like from the least worst to the worst or anything. It's sorted by like years and age ratings and types. Significantly shorter intro because my brain is turned off. Anyway, Looney Tunes. Notes to you. Porky Pig shoots a cat to death. It was singing and he was trying to sleep. All sorts of goofy stuff happens and it's nothing too serious at first. But at some point, Porky pulls out a gun, and I think I'm thinking like there's no way he'll actually shoot him, right? Porky shoots him. It does not miss. The cat suffers some before falling. I guess the cat's ghosts plural, coming back to continue singing is supposed to make it more lighthearted, but it didn't really work that way for me. So after that, child me looked at Porky Pig and knew that he was capable of murder. Casper the Friendly Ghost. Mainly, there's good booze tonight. Casper, struggling to make friends as usual, ends up befriending a baby fox that he names Ferdy. Guess what? Ferdy the fox gets shot and dies. Like in Notes to You, Ferdy's ghost comes back and gets to be with Casper. But that doesn't fix it. That does not fix it for me. I saw a baby fox get shot and killed. A Haunting We Will Go also had a baby duck get shot, but that one survives. Casper helps him heal his wing. Both of those are Old Yeller. I mean, why do you think this is here? Of course, he gets rabies and Travis has to shoot him. I want to know why it became such a thing to have stories about kids that love their dogs and then kill off the dogs. Why are dead dog movies a thing? I will not watch dog movies if I think they're this type. Good Times. The Big Move, parts 1 and 2. The first of these 2 episodes just starts out as an episode about how the family was going to move because James got a better job. And moving can be difficult, especially for children. Since Michael falls in love with someone and doesn't want to leave at first. But then at the end of the first of these 2 episodes, the family gets the news that James died in a car accident. That episode just ends like that, right after the news. And I remember that hit me so hard, like a freaking truck. That was no way they just killed off the dad at the end of what I thought was a normal episode. Part 2 continues to show how the family deals with it, which is obviously very sad. The Fox and the Hound. This movie was stressful altogether, but Todd being raised by that old lady from a baby and living just like a pet, just to be abandoned in the woods. And like the music, oh. I could watch Mufasa die, Bambi's mom, but not this. No one even dies. No one dies. This and it's more traumatic than death scenes for Disney for me. Why? I can't watch this movie. I have not watched this in years. I was a child the last time I watched this. I rewatch Disney movies a lot. Not this one. I would like to, at some point. I already know it would still make me cry because I almost just did. Oh man, my cranberry juice, I drank it. The NeverEnding Story. The horse. out of all 3 movies, and all the strange and kind of scary things that happened, it's the horse. Artax sinking and drowning in the swamp of sadness. That was the most horrible thing for me. I didn't even mind the scary wolf thing that much. I kind of liked him, actually. He was kind of a funny little guy, just kind of like in the freaking wall. It's been a minute since I last watched that movie. Did that horse scene last for a very long time, or was that just me? Was that my brain slowing it down because it was so horrible? It feels like that lasted for a very long time. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This show was on the list pretty much for the same reason as Mama's Family on the other one, just that this one, I don't even know if I'm more angry. I get like mad at the writers when something upsets me. I think it's overall more sad. But yeah, the other one was scary because of how, you know, it was a toothpick. Ugh. Hillary had a boyfriend that had been around for the show for a little bit, and he was going to ask her to marry him on live TV while bungee jumping. I'm sure you know where this is going. He hit the ground and died, and Hillary didn't know that he was dead right away. Like, it didn't process in her brain that he wasn't supposed to hit the ground bungee jumping. And she needed it to be explained to her, which made it sadder to me. Apparently it was supposed to be funny. There was laughing. His death is not as scary as the toothpick. It was just a sudden thunk and he was gone. It wasn't like I'm imagining him bleeding out or anything like in the Mama's Family one. But there's another death in The Fresh Prince that was funny. Traumatic for Will. But it was funny because there was a guy that he told to drop dead, and that guy was like a huge jerk, and he actually just like fell over and had a heart attack. It was messed up for Will because he felt guilt. But to me that one was funny. So it's not just like any death is gonna like traumatic for me, but this was not funny. This one was not. No. My Girl. I don't. This is like the same type of thing as like the dead dog thing for me. Like, what? Why does this exist? Like, who thought this needed to be made? I remember I was around the age to be in 4th or 5th grade. I remember what house I lived in, and I know I wasn't in middle school yet. My Girl and My Girl 2 had been sitting around for a while as a like 2-disc DVD set, and I hadn't watched it. It was a happy, sunny day. I was in a good mood. I remember that specifically. It was like a nice freaking day. I didn't know it was going to be a sad movie when I popped it in. I thought it was like a happy, like innocent little love story thing or something. Yeah, the boy dies. He gets stung by hundreds of bees and dies. That would be a horrible, painful, scary death, and it happened to a child character. And they showed his funeral, and the girl is sorry, I am incapable of like crying and talking at the same time. My vocal cords tighten up, so if I start getting like that, I have to just like stop for a moment. The girl is crying because he doesn't have his glasses, and he can't see without his glasses. So anyway, I never watched the second one. I did not put the second disc in. I have no idea what happens in the second one. That one could actually be a happy movie, but I'm not going to take that risk. I don't know if I still have that DVD somewhere or not. Maybe I should watch it, but yeah, no. In general, I'm not like scared of bees or wasps. I'm reasonably cautious, of course, about them. One's just buzzing around, but if there's a nest somewhere, then yeah, I'm freaked out. But that's kind of reasonable, I think. Homeward Bound. I had very mixed feelings about this movie. I loved animals. This is a movie with animals, but the animals are lost and in danger for the entire movie. Luckily, as far as I've ever heard, this movie filmed things in a way that kept all of the animals safe, and no one was actually hurt or killed, unlike some other animal movies. But it's still very stressful to watch. Chance gets stabbed by porcupine needles, Sassy almost drowns, Shadow falls and can't climb back up from the mud. There's also a part with a lost little girl. Oh, It's a happy ending. Everyone's okay. I love this movie. It's a good movie. Tarzan. It is still impossible for me to watch this and not cry. Like, it wasn't sad enough that Tarzan's parents got killed by the leopard and he was left alone like that. That's not even, like, the worst part of it. People don't talk about this very much. Everyone always talks about, you know, the whole parents getting killed thing as being the sad part. But the leopard also kills the baby gorilla. Cause, yeah, I can't remember everyone's names. But you know, the parent gorillas. Because they, like, basically replaced their dead baby with Tarzan. Like, the story could have worked if the couple never had a baby but wanted one, right? They did not have to have a dead gorilla baby, and show us how it happened. Or they could have already had a child and still wanted to take care of the human one, right? Like, could have a sibling. No. Not enough pain. Not enough pain. Also, you can still hear... This is the thing that, like, really gets me. You can still hear the baby gorilla screaming after the parents had already given up on saving him. I guess because they couldn't fight the leopard, or the baby was already too messed up to save. But personally, I don't think that would have stopped me. If I was the parent, I'd go. I would have gone out like Tarzan's parents, probably. But, like, the screaming going on that long makes it very clear to me that this was not an instant kill. That always bothers me with things. Oh my gosh. That baby gorilla suffered. It felt pain. That was a painful death. Have a good day. You're welcome for this. Aren't you glad I'm sitting here pointing out all the worst things possible for movies? Isn't this a great... Why did I make this video? Let's just be upset now. Shrek. The bird bloating and then exploding. Leaving just smoking legs behind. Because Fiona sang at it. Why was that even a scene? It looked painful. It looked ouch. Apparently it was hot. Also, it burned. It was burning on the inside or something? I don't know. There was smoke coming out. I don't know. The frog and snake being inflated and then floating away was also very upsetting. The inflation would already probably be painful and should have killed them. You take cartoons way too seriously. But then, like, what happens after they float away? Suffocation? Floating so high they, like, burn or something? I don't know. Falling to their deaths? Why does their breath have helium, apparently? Jacob Tutu. I don't know how many people can know about this, but this show, I hated the twins so much. They made me so angry. I hated them with a burning passion to the point where I questioned why I kept watching the show. Jacob, the main character, has twin siblings that are horrible to him and get him in trouble all the time. It was so aggravating. My goodness. Jacob was always having such a bad time in the whole show. I felt so bad for him. The tutu part in the title is his nickname. Because he always has to repeat things because no one listens to him. The poor little guy. This show was weird. Like, look at this. Look at this. What the fuck was this? I legit thought I dreamt this at first when I started remembering. It was so weird. That section was the stuff that was more okay for kids to watch. Now we're moving on to the older kids, teenagers stuff would watch. I'm wording things so good in this one. All in the Family. This show went over so many upsetting and important topics. A lot of episodes had a big impact, but the one that pops up in my mind the strongest for this list is Edith's Crisis of Faith. Beverly LaSalle, is that how you say? Is a character that showed up in 2 other episodes before this, so I knew her, I liked her. She bonded with the other characters already. She was an important character as someone representing a crossdresser in the 70s in a way that wasn't like, haha, look at men and dress funny, or dressing that way to like trick someone, you know. She dressed that way because she wanted to, and she was a drag performer, which, by the way, I'm using she just because, like, we almost always see her, like, in drag, so usually say she when they are dressed up. But yeah, in this episode, she gets murdered. she was walking with another character and they were mugged, and they decided to kill her when they, quotations here, found out what she was. She was not in drag when she got murdered, so I think the reason was because she was gay. She was a gay man, I think. I don't actually know. Did she date anyone, actually? But, I think that's what they assumed about her because of her mannerisms. That's what I think we were supposed to gather from that, from what I remember. I don't really know. The way I cried. Especially seeing the other characters react. Batman Returns. Baby Penguin pulls a cat into his cage and kills it. Nothing else bothered me. Kill all the people you want, not the animals. I had no problems with any other death in this entire movie. The cat was the only one. What's eating Gilbert Grape? Why did anyone let me watch this? I was very small. I was itty bitty. The mom in this movie, Bonnie, is very large, and she dies. The younger son, Arnie, is mentally disabled, and he finds her first. He doesn't realize at first that she's dead and thinks she's playing, and then her dead body is trapped in the house from being too big. They can't get her out. The older son, Gilbert, didn't want to embarrass her by having her be taken out by a crane, so he burnt the entire house down with her in it. I approve of his choice, but holy shit. Friends! Why was there laughing when they tell about how Rachel's dog dies by being hit by an ice cream truck and dragged for 19 blocks? Who thought that was a funny story? Inappropriately placed laughter makes things so much worse for me. That's not a funny story. I'm sorry. I feel that I didn't put any on this list, but I think there's a few different sitcoms that would have animals fall to their deaths outside windows, and it was supposed to be funny. No. No. The Fifth Element. I was so confused every time I watched this movie as a child. I did not know what was happening. I liked it because it was weird. The characters were great. Most of it didn't scare me or anything, even though these guys are pretty freaky. You'd think with my aversion to aliens that I wouldn't be so into this one. One thing did bother me. Reaching into the singer. She was dying anyway. But there was still something about how she I don't know, she wasn't a bad guy, you know? And the one digging through her guts also wasn't a bad guy, right? It felt like something that should not have been happening, you know? They needed something that was in her. It felt so wrong. I didn't stop watching or cry or anything. I don't think I did anything. That panic was just entirely inside my brain while that was happening. The Twilight Zone. The 2002 version. I watched a lot of the Twilight Zone, not just this one, but in general. But the first episode of this version of the series, Evergreen, it's about families with teenage children that move to a specific gated community that is supposed to help them control their children. What do they do to get them under control? They kill them. They let people snatch up their children into a van. They take them away, and then they bring back their bodies in the form of fertilizer for a tree. How? I watched the original Twilight Zone. I watched Night Gallery. So it's kind of surprising that just this one specific episode bothered me that much. Apparently turning children into fertilizer is where I draw the line. Pulse, the remake from 2006, which apparently was rated PG-13, so I guess I'll put it on this part of the list. I remember both watching this and I Know You Did Last Summer with two other girls when I was 10. We were too young for these, I think. Well, yeah, obviously PG-13 we were not. And this easily could have been put on the scary list because I was nervous the entire time we watched these. This version of Pulse has a completely unnecessary scene with an uncanny looking dying cat. It happens suddenly. The cat just makes an awful sound and it moves in an unnatural way since it's obviously not a real cat. It absolutely did startle the hell out of me. But more than anything, I was just really just upset. I was sad. I remember I started crying, and my friends were telling me it wasn't a real cat, and I knew that, but it did not stop me from being sad. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. It could be a drawing, and it would still make me sad. Then after I was done being sad, I was just kind of pissed off. As an adult, I still get like that, like when something that should like scare me or make me sad will just make me like unreasonably angry. Like I'll get like mad at the creators, you know? I think I said something like that earlier. Especially like after a chunk of time has passed after I saw it. I don't know why I get like that, but it has to like stew in my head for a little while. Like, how dare you show this to me? Alright, the only like one that I don't know what age this is meant for. Obviously not children. Happy Tree Friends. I was a teenager when I saw this, but I did not like this at all. Someone played it during art class. We played a lot of movies and stuff during art class. Not all necessarily things we should have been watching in school. But we did a lot of things in art class that we should not have been doing in art class. But yeah, did not enjoy seeing a baby animal with their bottom half stuck in a garbage disposal and crying in pain. You know, not my cup of tea personally. No, I'm never watching this again, ever. You cannot make me do that. You cannot make me watch this. Okay, on to video games. We only have 2, and they're already related to things I've already. Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life is on this list as well, because before I only talked about like how like freaky Daryl is in Dachan. Yeah, there's another reason. Okay, I did not talk about Nina's death. I was so young playing this for the first time, and Nina reminded me so much of my own grandma. She looks like her. She was a short, wide, curly-haired woman. Oh, who liked to take walks. It was very upsetting. It doesn't help that her husband, Galen, becomes depressed and won't talk to you for a while after that. It's just ellipses. It made me feel like I did something wrong. Okami Den. I had Okami on the first list because, you know, partially because of the cutters and mainly because centipede stairs. Yeah, Okami Den belongs on the sad list. The emotional distress caused by Kuro? Is that how you would say his name? I cried so much. He was just a little baby guy version of Waka. And Waka was my favorite in the first game. I wanted to protect the small one at all costs. And it did not go as planned. Turns out Kuro is actually a doll of Waka and was made to die. He was made to have Akuro sealed inside him and then be killed. And that's exactly what happened. So, books and manga. And this will be the last section already. I don't have like any, obviously, none of my toys made me, I mean, Pound Puppies were a little bit depressing with their eyes, but no. I don't have any mysteries. Yeah. Alright. Naruto. I had this on the other list as well. We've got some repeats happening. So on the other one, it was because Gaara is terrifying. But yeah, it needs to be here again because Deidara's death. Deidara is my favorite character, not just for Naruto. Out of everything that exists, he is my one favorite character. So yeah, I didn't die with him dealing that well. And really, this could be a much longer list if I would include all the like anime and manga characters that have died that I really, really cared about. This could be a much longer list, but you know, I'm narrowing it down to the most upsetting. I pick really bad for my favorite characters. Lots of villains. So he's definitely not the only one. But he was the biggest one. I'm kind of glad, like, cause huge spoilers, but they hit us with a lot of big deaths kind of in a row in that like section of Naruto, because it was Deidara and then Jiraiya and then Itachi. I'm kind of glad that Deidara went first because that doesn't sound like that's gonna make sense. Because like if I would have already been upset from the other two and then hit with that, I think it would have hurt me even more. Right? Because if I was already emotionally distressed to begin with, I can only imagine Itachi fans that also like Jiraiya and Deidara having to go last there. Warriors. Yes, the cat ones, the warrior cats. Yeah. It's a book series written by a handful of people about clans of cats living in the woods, fun adventures and stuff, you know, and death. A lot of death, actually. So many cats die, they fight, they have wars. Kittens are not immune to it, and that's mainly why I put this on here. Anytime. I didn't like when any of them died, but the kitten ones, oh my gosh, the kitten ones were always the worst. I'm remembering Blue Star's Prophecy. Oh, which one was the one where the freaking death one and the hawk? I hate it. Okay. I mean, I loved the series to freaking death, but oh, it was so violent. You know, I was waiting for them to make a movie, because remember if anyone was in the fandom, remember, I don't know if there was any truth to it, or if it was just a rumor that they were gonna, like, make a movie where it, like, looked like, how the lion looks in Narnia. I was waiting for that. There's a movie, right? And I just, like, missed it. I wanted them to make a video game, too. I wonder if there's a game. I mean, there were, like, games on the website that I don't think exist anymore. Last time I looked in the website, I think the games are gone. Alright, last thing on here. Cirque du Freak. Don't expect anyone to know what this is. I read the manga first. There's also a book series and a movie. It's a story that starts out about a human boy that becomes a half vampire and joins a circus. Things get more and more out of hand as the story goes on. Steve sucks. Steve is Darren's childhood friend who becomes a vampire hunter to kill Darren. Not because he thinks he's a monster, but because he's jealous, because he wanted to be a vampire, but Crepsley told him his blood is bad. So then he becomes a half Vampanese, which is a vampire, but worse because Vampanese kill their victims while vampires don't. So children die. Steve breaks the neck of one of the little snake children that Darren's other childhood friend, Evra, has. So yeah, Steve is the worst. I hate Steve. Actually, he's not the worst. He's not the worst, actually. Mr. Tiny is the worst. Everything bad is his fault. He sucks. There's... Oh. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil everything. I'm gonna tell you what Mr. Tiny's deal is. I never finished reading the books because I already knew, or at least think I know, assuming that the story goes the same from the manga. I have the books. I have them. I keep looking over. I have all the manga and I have the books. And I didn't finish them because I was just dreading what would happen. There's a lake where souls get trapped. And in the manga, Curtis stays there for eternity. And I've heard that in the books, he does go into the afterlife, which is much more I should read the books. I spoiled myself on the books a little bit. I looked into it because I was very distressed and wanted to see if there was a better way this could go. I need to read them. I'm sorry if you guys could hear any of the stuff that's been going on outside. The world decides to be noisy every time I try to record. I swear there's no freaking noises the whole day. It's getting louder as I talk. Okay, it parked there, great. So, at least I'm done. So anyway, tell me the things that, like, bothered you. You can share fears, like how the first one, or you can share what made you sad and angry, you know, whatever. Just things that bothered you. Share them if you feel comfortable in the comments. Tell me what you think of mine. Am I very weak? I don't know. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!